Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is September the 29th, 2023, and today the topic is You think this is a game? You think this is a game, y'all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope that you all had a wonderful day yesterday. Mine was just fine. It was a Thursday, y'all. Y'all know my Thursdays. I worked at church. Um, only slight differences. I mean, we got breakfast instead of bringing a lunch, and what else? I ended up staying a little bit longer because I helped out with getting things together for the new series that's coming out the church and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's the only significant thing to share in regards to yesterday. But, oh Lord, as for this morning. I was sitting here thinking, like, right before I went live, I'm like, if anybody come across me, man, I guess this might be for you, because I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm, some major person with a major platform or whatever the case may be. But the stuff that I feel like the Lord be sharing with me be like major stuff where I'm like, maybe more people need to hear this, but hey, I don't know. Maybe it's just you, right? Whoever you are, maybe you're just so important that you need to hear these things. Obviously, you are important to the Lord. I mean, of course, but what I'm saying is that, again, there's still power in one to one to one. So, with that being said, do you think this is a game? I mean, I guess that's the question we should ask ourselves today. If I tell you guys the inspiration, basically, last night, actually midday or whenever I had got back home at the church, after work at the church, um, at some point I was I was kind of catching up on things I had missed because I hadn't been on my phone, like doing all my little, stuff or whatever. And so I got back home. I was just relaxing, catching up on like messages or whatever. And all of a sudden, that phrase, you think this is a game, came into my heart and mind. And I'm like, okay. And then next thing I know, after that, it was this concept of like, I guess this message is more so for believers than anything. I mean, yeah, it's for all humans too, but it's for those that claim to believe and then don't live accordingly. You know what I mean? Or you claim to believe, but then you're not going by the Bible, or whatever the case may be, right? It's like, we think this is a game. I don't think we take it as seriously as we should. Especially again, if you proclaim to be a believer, then that means that you believe that the Bible is true, and that means that you believe the things that Jesus said and did, and all of that. To where it's like, if you're not living accordingly as a believer, then you kind of playing with fire. You think this is a game or whatever the case is. You don't think it's real enough to live accordingly. And I guess that was like some of my questions. So I ended up doing a little bit of studying yesterday. And whatnot. I was like, well, I guess I get the juice at any time. The Lord, give me some juice. I already did the juice this morning. No, but I mean, well, yeah, he will speak to you at any time, so that's something to be aware of. But basically, as I was going deeper yesterday about that idea and making a note to remember to study it again this morning, one of the things that I came across last night was an article on godquestions.org, and it's called "How Do I Know the Bible Is Not Just Mythology?" So I ended up sharing it on like just about all of my social media, because I was like, okay, Lord, I mean, you gave it to me right now, so obviously maybe somebody needs to hear and see this now, what I just read. So you guys can go and take a look at it and whatnot. I mean, if you feel led to do so. But I found it to be quite interesting. So okay, so this morning, no wait, so last night I woke up around 12:23 randomly. I made a note of it, went back to sleep, X, Y, and Z. Next thing I know, I'm waking up again around 5:52. And I just make a note of these things. Y'all know I tend to like make a note of these things now, and I go and I, look up the verses, and I Google Bible and those numbers just to see, right? I didn't look at anything. I just did stuff. And then so this morning when I woke up, I did my little business, whatever. And then I started doing the juice. I started to I listened to the Soul Space app, which I was kind of distracted by, but I was listening to it. And then after that, I started to, look into the verses that I had made a note of with the concept of you think this is a game in my heart and mind. And y'all, I was like, okay. So let's get into this. So that's how I got to it. Let me share what the Lord has shared with me this morning. So first of all, this phrase, you think this is a game, it's slang, you know what I mean? And so I did look that up. I think it was in the Urban Dictionary. And so the phrase or the definition for that phrase says a question you ask someone when they act like life is just a disposable waste. I thought that really stood out, to be honest. The fact that they said that last part, when you think that life is a disposable waste. A lot of us think that way. Now, again, maybe not believers, but then maybe again with our actions, but that's a whole nother conversation. But those that, for example, I guess they don't have hope in Christ, right? Then they tend to think that we're just, I guess, we struggle with what we are. I'll just put it like that. We know that there's a concept of us evolving from, I guess apes or monkeys or whatever the case may be. But the interesting thing is there's still apes and monkeys. So I don't know, why didn't those ones evolve? We could ask all the questions, or there's the concept of just, I guess, being cells or whatever that just happened. I guess I heard like spines or something. Listen, I don't know. People have a lot of ideas of how they think we got here and what we are and all that type of stuff. So that's again, you guys can go deeper, but usually those type of mindsets, they don't have much substance behind like life in general. And I say that because like, if you listen to, I guess, like different debates and stuff like that, and people are like, oh, what's the meaning of life? Unfortunately, what's the man name? I'm thinking about that Frank Turek debate with the I done talked about the guy so much this year. Now his name went away from my mind. Christopher Hitchens. And okay, I know he might have been joking, he might have been joking with his response, but my thing is, do you have anything of substance to say to the question? You know what I mean? But anyway, basically he was asking the question about somebody was asking him about the meaning of life or whatever in their Q&A session. And or like, what else that he could have done with his life outside of just debate about whether God is real or whatever the case may be. And or something along those lines. Y'all gotta look at these things yourself. But basically, I just remember him saying something along the lines of like, Joel, sex is important to me, X, Y, and Z. And don't get me wrong, I got a whole little platform here. It's called GSL. But there's more to life than that, if it makes any sense, and so anyway, you can go deep with that on your own and confirm whether you believe what I'm saying here. But again, without God, without the the morals and values of Christ and what the Bible is sharing with us, like there's not much left to, I don't even know how to say this, like to, I guess, live for. Is that a good way to say it? Because then you feel like, oh, we're just nothing. We don't have any meaning. We don't have any purpose, and X, Y, and Z. And then people are struggling with that idea and feeling like they're meaningless and purposeless and valueless and all of that. And again, we can see this all around us. Unfortunately, again, the concept of, suicide is stemmed a lot from that. People are feeling like no one cares, feeling like they're not worth anything or whatever the case may be. And, people do a lot of things for a lot of reasons, but just trying to give examples, y'all. So anywho, so I found that to be interesting, to say the least. Basically, the question you ask someone when they act like life is just a disposable waste. If you think this is a game. Now, the second quote unquote definition on Urban Dictionary says the same thing, but then it ended with a question you ask someone when they act stupidly. Now, listen, look, I ain't trying to call anybody stupid or nothing like that. But at the same time, I mean, you know, I think we all have been there though. You know, I definitely have acted stupidly in my life. You know, I think back often, like, ooh, where would I be? You know, or not even just where would I be, but like thanking God that things didn't like be worse. You know, a lot of the situations that I've been in life could have been like detrimental. Like I probably wouldn't be here today talking or whatever the case may be if things were just a little bit differently, if not for the grace of God and his protection or whatever the case may be. And so anyway, we can go deeper with all of that. But do we think this is a game? Do we think life is a game? Do we think the things in the Bible is not real or a game or a myth, right? Things of that nature. We can go deeper with this question. But let me share with y'all these verses that I came across with times that the Lord woke me up. So I told y'all he woke me up around 12:23 last night, right? I made a note, didn't look at no verses, nothing. I look at the verses after I started getting into this. And this verse says, John 12:23, I was led there. And it says, and Jesus answered them saying, the hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. I was like, uh-oh. Now that don't sound bad. That don't sound like a bad thing. That, oh, the hour has come. God, you know, Jesus is gonna be glorified. But at the same time, when you see something about hours come, you like, ooh, it's time up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, time is ticking. That's the vibe I was getting when I read that verse. I was like, okay, I just made a note of it. It sounded good. I just was like, okay. And then I went and looked at the time when I woke up around, what was it, 5:52? And that led me to Isaiah 52:5. It say, now therefore, what have I here, saith the Lord, that my people is taken away for naught. They that rule over them make them to howl, saith the Lord, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Now listen, you guys can read other versions of that maybe break this down in another way, but even this old not Old Testament, this King James version is still kind of, I say powerful in its own way, because it's saying here, so God is saying basically in this verse here is that my people are being taken away for nothing. Like at the end of the day, like I guess with all the different warnings and whatnot, and listen, now I ain't sitting here trying to act like I'm a prophet liar or nothing. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I just be sharing with y'all what God leads me to study in the morning times. And I feel like there's been a lot of warnings over the past week. Some over here like, Lord, why you got me warning people? Like, who is it? So it might be whoever you are, or you're so important to hear these warnings, y'all. Like, we're being like, with all the warnings, right? With what the Bible has to say, with all the things that God has in place, with the earth around us being a testimony, with ourselves being a testimony to God and his creation and his greatness and all the wonderful things. We're being taken for nothing. Ultimately, like if we've, I guess what I'm receiving here is that if we, how can I say it? I'm not saying fall short, because we all fall short, but if we, I guess, neglect and ignore the warnings and things of that nature, then we're truly being taken for nothing, because God has done everything to make a way. You know, he's done everything to make a way and to show us that he's here. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I was going deeper about all this, and I was asking some more questions, because I was like, well, Lord, you know, there's a lot of things out here, you know, and obviously a lot of options and stuff like that. Now, the interesting thing is God didn't lead me to no more verses, so I ain't got no more verses other than the Bible verse of the day, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what he did lead me is for y'all to go deeper, because I mean, I guess the thing is, there's so many different things where, again, sure, it's good to go and hear a word, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's good to hear what the pastor got to say, listen to the juice in the morning, all this stuff is good, but at the end of the day, if you're not reading the Bible for yourself and getting it for yourself, then that's probably part of the issue of why we think this is a game, because we're not taking it seriously enough to even study. And that was another thing too, as I was going deeper. I think I put the verses in the go deeper section, but honestly, this is the fault of the believers, you know, because a lot of us, again, we're claiming to believe, but then we're not living accordingly, or we're not even studying the Bible for ourselves to know what it says, but then we claim to be believers. Like, and I'm guilty too. Look, I just started doing juice April 1st, 2020. Y'all know that. And I just started like being intentional about, you know, okay, I'm gonna study every day. not knowing that I was going to do this every day, and not knowing that God was going to actually have something for me to say every day. But, that was my first step. And obviously, y'all know I'm 37 now. So that means over 30 something years, over the last 3 years out of the 30 something, I started to be intentional about studying. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of us there are like that. You know what I mean? A lot of us still don't take our time to study. You know what I mean? A lot of us, like I said, I was reading back in the day before I started doing this, I would just read the Bible verse of the day and be like, okay, okay, I got some word in. But did you really get a word? I'm sitting here wondering like what all I missed over the years now, because again, with the fact that like, because I would get woken up at like random weird times, like for years, you know what I mean? Dreams, all kinds of stuff that I kind of would pay attention to, but not really, but now, I'm seeing that the Lord has something to share with me every day. And then the dreams and stuff goes to another level. And then now, sometimes people are calling me to interpret their dreams. And I'm not trying to act like I'm, Joseph interpreting dreams and know everything. But I mean, I share with you guys the way that I interpret. But thing is, it's like God is speaking to us, right? And he wants to have a relationship with each and every one of us. So at the end of the day, it's up to us to get into the word for ourselves and to take this a little bit more seriously. I mean, at the end of the day, this is not a game; it's a life or death decision. And again, the decision is only good and evil. It's not anything else. It's not, oh well, maybe there's a gray area. It doesn't seem to be. I'm just saying, when you're reading the Bible and stuff. And that was the other thing that I was asking myself, also asking the Lord today. It was like, how could someone study or read the Bible and still not? I mean, I know how we can do it. Basically, it's because we go, maybe we'll read and we're trying to look for something in particular, or we want to look for something that fits what we think, or we want to look for something that to use as ammunition against the word of God and things of that nature. So it's us at the end of the day that's flawed about how we read and study. But for those that are actually seeking the Lord, right? I mean, let's get into the word, and he will reveal himself to you constantly. At least that's all that's happening with me. I'm not sitting here trying to, again, act like I know it all, but I mean, I just find it to be very interesting, this whole journey. And so basically what I'm encouraging and inspire you guys to do today is check out these different articles that are in the gotquestions.org. There are like 4 or 5 of them that I put in the Go Deeper section today. They answer a lot of the questions that I think will hopefully help us in this area. You guys can again check out that one that was talking about how do I know the Bible is not just mythology. There's another one that I read with that I got led to after I started looking into this, and it was talking about what is blasphemy, because I felt led to go deeper about that verse I just read, Isaiah 52:5. And the very first thing that I saw when I went to gotquestions.org and put that verse in was what is blasphemy. So we might need to study that today. There's another one that says, is there any conclusive proof to God? That might be another one to look into. And then another one is there proof for the interpretation of the Bible? I mean, and then there's another one that's also, how does God reveal himself to us? I think I can't remember if I put that one in the Go Deeper section, but it was one that I was like looking at as well. I mean, if you got questions, ask the questions, you know what I'm saying? And go deeper and ask the Lord the questions and seek the wisdom that has been put in place. Like, we have no excuse. Like, at the end of the day, I feel like we're more separate from God now than the biblical figures was. And then maybe even the generation before us, which we kind of talked about yesterday, the generations before us, obviously tapped into the things of God on a whole nother level than we are. But we're the ones with all the technology and easy access to information and all this other type of stuff. But it's not a game. Basically, I guess I'm just here to remind us all that this is not a game. It seems to be a very, very serious decision and choice that we all have to make. And, I hope and pray that, those that are listening to the sound of my voice or whatever the case may be, like, we are not lost in, not the sauce, lost in the process, of asking the questions and seeking the Lord and whatnot. I mean, there were some more things that came into my heart and mind as I was studying all of this, but I guess I done said what I needed to say, man. Just go deeper for yourself. Try to get the answers to the questions that you have. I mean, like I said, guyquestions.org is an awesome resource. I've shared a variety of resources with you guys that you guys can peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. But I mean, I guess that's the juice, y'all. This ain't no game. So stop acting like this is a game. Anyway. The Bible verse of today is Matthew 22:37-39. It says, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Just a reminder, tonight we have a new episode of the GSL Talk Show coming out. It's with Pastor Corey Rosinski, one of them. You guys can check that out, and I hope that it encourages you and inspires you. Go deeper, y'all. Go deeper for yourself. Look, this ain't no game. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye. There you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Anybody listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing. All those wonderful things, man. Listen, like I said, there's plenty to go deeper about when it comes to this. Because again, believers, I feel like definitely there's a greater risk, right, for us, because you claim to believe and then you don't live accordingly, and that makes others stumble. Or you claim to believe and there's grace and stuff as well, so that's a beautiful thing about God and his forgiveness and whatnot. I mean, I was going deeper about all of that too. So I mean, we all fall short, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect neither, but I'm just saying that so we have a greater responsibility now. But those that are not believers and things like that, I mean, they have a whole nother, I guess, part to figure out, again, whether they want to believe or not. And but either way, it's not a game. Can we receive that today? I hope so. Yeah, y'all, Friday, man. I don't have too much on my calendar or schedule today. I know that my dad's side of the family, I guess, starting some family reunion type things. I know something's going on tonight, and then tomorrow, trying to decide what all I'm going to. Probably tomorrow for sure, I guess, if the Lord's will. But maybe tonight. I don't know. We're gonna see. But yeah, man. I think that's all the significance to share. If I sit here out there, I'll just continue to rabble about like other little stuff that happened yesterday, which ain't that important, So anywho, but yeah, I thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.